So, my symptoms of shortness of breath was really the main symptom. It started about, I would say, over 3 years ago, maybe 3.5 years ago.
Mm.
And at that time, I had no idea what was going on. It was unexplained. I didn't have any other symptoms. And so I just started doing online research as to what it could be and found that it was most likely just chronic hyperventilation and that I'm just susceptible to overbreathing and hyperventilation, and which caused my shortness of breath. And so I did some online research, not knowing where to turn, since doctors they didn't know what was going on and they didn't really help me. And that's when I read on forums that there's a Buteyko method out there that might be able to help me. And by the way, here's a book on the method. And so I bought that book. I did what the book said. I mean, it wasn't the same as, say, taking a course through you guys, but it helped me at least get something going that could help my symptoms.
Mm.
And even though I did get a lot of benefit from it, it wasn't a long-term fix because it didn't explain how to maintain your control pause for a long period of time. And then so my symptoms came back about a year later, and that's when I turned to you guys and got a little more help. I didn't take the course at the time, but once again, when I applied what I learned, it helped me. And then fast forward another 2 years and my symptoms returned once again. And then finally I took a course that I was able to get a consistent practice with, I would say, better education on how to improve my condition and keep it that way for the long term. And before, I wasn't really measuring my control pause. I was just kind of going off of my symptoms. And if my symptoms got better, well, then I would just stop practice. And I learned now that the control pause is a very powerful diagnostic tool that helps helps me to know where my symptoms are at any given time. And then if it's a little bit lower, know what to do to get it to a higher level so that my symptoms improve. Yeah, I would say for the most part, now that it's been 25 to 30, pretty consistently, that my symptoms for the most part have disappeared. So, and just seeing the improvement little by little every day as I continue a consistent practice. Right now, I'm doing probably 2 or 3 times a day for my regular practice, and then I do a session of regular physical exercise every day, and that seems to help my breathing quite a bit. So I would say it's going very well. My next step is just to get my control pause to the 40. My symptoms are mostly gone. I might have a flare-up of shortness of breath every now and then, but for the most part, I would say that they're mostly gone. If a symptom happens to come up and I have the right time, I'll do a rescue exercise and it seems to help. Sleep is going very well. It no longer bothers me like it did before. And so now I'm able to sleep for a good portion of the night, and I wake up and my control pause is right around 30 in the morning. So it's definitely improved quite a bit since I started practicing, a few months ago. Well, I would say that ever since the beginning workshop, which was in mid-February, was when I started practicing consistently with the techniques that I learned from the course. And then before that, since December, which was kind of, I guess, my own practice that I wasn't really sure of what to do. So I kind of just did the best that I could with what I knew. And then as as time went on and February came along, I started practicing according to the the beginning course, and that's when my official practice, if you will, began. Even the first week, or even that week of doing the regular practice, I did notice that my symptoms were starting to improve when I had a consistent practice throughout the day. I had learned from a book, I had learned online, and I wasn't really sure how to fit the practice in throughout my day. I wasn't really sure what I should be doing at certain times. And when I went through the beginning course, I learned a consistent practice that I was able to stick to a routine and then know how to do the exercises to help my symptoms. And so the combination of those things really helped me to kind of boost me out of the worst of my symptoms. And then from there, just continue to improve little by little every day. I mean, I guess a lot of people are, they're unaware of the method, so they're kind of surprised by what it can do. And if I explain that it helps my condition, and I explain that we're not supposed to breathe as much as a lot of people do, a lot of people are surprised by that, and they don't really know what to say. But they're glad that it helps me, and if someone maybe starts to tell me that they have, oh, hey, I have similar symptoms, or I have a symptom of this, or I've had allergies for a long time, or I've had asthma, then I sort of just, explain, well, this method really helps with all that. And again, they kind of don't know how to react because they're surprised that there's such thing as breathing exercises that can actually help a lot of conditions. So, well, yeah, I would say that as far as my body reacting, I didn't seem to experience a lot of cleansing reaction, but I did. I guess it was mostly mental. It was mostly in the mind, that you kind of run into roadblocks along the way. And as far as my practice, it's mostly trying to get out of the plateaus that I was hitting. I was stuck in the 20s, control pause, low 20s for a while, and just felt like I couldn't really get out of that. And I guess when I just continued to persevere, when I continued with the practice, that very slowly it started to climb. And then if I would get maybe a symptom that seemed to be arbitrary or independent of my practice, I didn't really know what that meant or what to do. And so I reached out to Vladimir, and he's been helping me every week or every 2 weeks or so adjust my practice and giving me pointers and tips on how to deal with certain things, and giving me a clear explanation of what might be going on. And but now my guidance is being adjusted according to my symptoms. And now that I am a lot better and I'm not experiencing as many symptoms, I'm able to increase my physical exercise, and I'm able to slightly decrease my buteyko practice. And so just making those adjustments really helps me to continue to go and continue to go along and grow my control pause and make sure that I stay out of my symptoms. It was probably even below maybe 15, could have been 12 or something like that. And I think at one point I got it up to the mid 20s, but at that point I wasn't experiencing any symptoms, and so I just stopped practicing because I didn't experience any symptoms. And about a year later, when my symptoms came back, I think it was because I wasn't practicing reduced breathing throughout the day. I was still taking deep breaths and sighing and things like that. Exercise, I hadn't really done as much physical exercise as I should have been doing. And so the combination of those things allowed my symptoms to return. And again, when I applied what I knew the second time, it was actually more difficult to get those symptoms away for some reason. And but once I did get better, I just used physical exercise to maintain my, make sure that my symptoms weren't there. And that lasted about 2 years. And then once again, life got busy and exercise decreased. And then eventually it went away for a few weeks, even a few months. And then very slowly, my shortness of breath came back. And I tried to very quickly get myself out of those symptoms by doing exercise again, by doing certain Buteyko exercises again. But I wasn't doing it the right way, so I think I was experiencing just a lot of rebound. And then my condition got the worst it's ever been. And my control pause at that time was like 10, or I think one time it was like 9. It was very horrible. And finally I started learning that I should be doing it a certain way and not trying to force it, not trying to force the method, but really to use it on a consistent basis and according to my condition. And that's when this second relapse, if you will, I reached out to you guys to take the course to make sure that I was getting on a stable routine. In fact, I think the workshop was really what helped me to get me to that next level and to help me to boost myself, and to give me motivation to practice, because it was face-to-face with a practitioner. It's one-on-one. And I find that a lot easier than saying reading material in a book or just trying to read something online. And then having to report every day to a practitioner also really helps, because they're able to look at our numbers and tell us what we can do to better our numbers and how we can practice. So I would say that the workshop, even through video, has really, really helped a lot, and it has given me confidence that any other method of learning really doesn't give me. It was definitely interesting to learn about other people's conditions and to learn about the questions that they had and see how they use the method to help their condition. It was definitely interesting to see everyone else there, for sure. Been to 2 follow-ups actually. One was with Christopher Drake, and that one was it was interesting. I mean, he seems to have a lot of good things to say, and he seems to be very, very knowledgeable about the method and about how to continue to practice even after a few years. And then the next follow-up was with you and Vladimir, and that was also interesting. And people's questions, I find, were a lot of the same questions that I would have. So that's one thing that really helps about the follow-up, is that if I have a lot of questions, I'm able to get answers through other people that ask and during the workshop. And I find that going to the workshops helps to definitely to build my knowledge and learn things that I may not have learned or picked up on during the workshop. I'm definitely glad that I have the Learn Buteyko online resource as a constant resource that I can turn to. Again, better than a book or online, where information is very sporadic and you can't really find true answers to questions. And whereas through this company, I'm able to turn to actual practitioners that know the method very well and know how to apply it to different situations. And so if questions come up, and whether it's a week or a month or a year, that I know that I can turn to this resource and continue to practice and grow my control pause, and maybe even not just for reducing my symptoms, but to even continue to get better and better as time goes on. And it just definitely pleases me that there are many ways to continue to increase the control pause, to, as you say, have an insurance against any health issues that might come up, and to be able to have the tools to protect ourselves from anything bad that might happen, and just to have a better sense of well-being and being able to maintain that throughout life. The reason why I did the follow-up sessions was because I felt like there was a lot more to the method that we weren't able to learn about or cover in just 1 week during the workshop, because I know that there's many, many details about the method that you can't just learn in a short amount of time. It's an ongoing process, and I felt that even though I was practicing consistently, that I was still having symptoms, and so I was, just kind of wondering why I still might be having symptoms even though my control pause was increasing. And so I was able to get reassurance through the follow-up from Vladimir about being persistent and continuing the exercises, and also helping me to get additional tools that I didn't learn from the workshop that I could use throughout my daily routine, and use that to continue to help decrease my symptoms and improve my control pause. And as time went on, and I met with Vladimir every week to about every 2 weeks, and then I would report back to him how my last week or two went. I would say each meeting I was better than the last one. So until just recently, I felt like I've pretty much had about regular breathing with very, very few symptoms. During the time that I have the worst of the symptoms, it feels like an eternity. It feels like it's just taken a very long time, months and months. But when I think about when I started to do consistent practice even before the workshop from December, I mean, it's only been 3 months. That's a very short amount of time compared to how long that maybe other people could take for their conditions, or how long it could have taken for me. But during those 3 months when symptoms are bad, I mean, it does feel like much, much longer. I'm really hoping that when I do get my control pause to 40, that I'm able to maintain that, at least that, for the remainder of my life, and just make sure that I keep on top of exercise, and just using things that that can help my control pause to remain at a healthy, stable level. And I, like I said, I hope that I can maintain that even to old age. So